The latest person to challenge Elon Musk? Well, it's Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat. The former 2020 presidential nominee is cracking down on the CEO of X, formerly known as Twitter, demanding a probe of Elon Musk and his company SpaceX after he did acknowledge that he blocked Ukraine from, quote, extending the private Starlink satellite network for an attack on Russia's warships. That's according to Bloomberg. Elizabeth Warren said yesterday on Capitol Hill, Congress needs to investigate what's happening here and whether we have adequate tools to make sure foreign policy conducted by the government and not by one billionaire. Yesterday on Rising, we showed a portion of the exchange on this matter between CNN's Jake Tapper and Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and whether there should be repercussions for Elon Musk's alleged actions. Let's take another look at that.
Are you concerned that Musk is apparently conducting his own diplomatic outreach to the Russian government? Really, none of this concerns you?
Jake, I can't speak to conversations that may or may not have happened. I don't know. I'm focused on the fact that the technology itself, Starlink, has been really important to the Ukrainians.
Musk is expected to be among the, quote, technology industry chiefs to attend a closed-door summit with senators at the Capitol on Wednesday. Elon Musk expressed his support for the United States yesterday, writing on X, I am a citizen of the United States and have only that passport. No matter what happens, I will fight for and die in America. The United States Congress has not declared war on Russia. If anyone is treasonous, it is those who call me such. Please tell them that very clearly. So I do think there is a hypocrisy here that Elon Musk is sort of pointing out that is fair, which is that Elizabeth Warren is, like, how is Elon Musk in charge of our foreign policy? It should be our government in charge of our foreign policy. Well, yes, it should be our government in charge of our foreign policy. In fact, it's Congress that is supposed to be in charge of our foreign policy, not the president. And to Elon Musk's point, we have not declared war on Russia, nor should we, which is why there's a lot of this confusion here and why he's in the position of, I think, raising some very reasonable concerns about whether allowing or participating in this strike on the Russian Navy would have been a good idea or would have been escalatory or getting the U.S. or just the rest of the world involved in World War III, and whether that would have been a good thing.
So I don't think we should go to war with Russia. I don't think that we should be escalating. But that doesn't really get to the bottom of the question of whether or not an individual should have the power to make the decision one way or the other, as opposed to a government. I think it's perfectly fair to say there has not been congressional authority to take some of the actions that have been taken. That's true. But just because Congress isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing in a democratic sense doesn't mean that I feel good about saying that the rule should just be any billionaire gets to decide foreign policy also. The problem is that both of those things are undemocratic. And I wonder what you think about this idea. It seems to be in the context, at least of Hunter Biden, there's an appetite for saying, well, let's just do a probe, let's investigate, let's do an impeachment inquiry and see if there's anything there that we should be concerned about. Is it legitimate for Elizabeth Warren to be saying the same thing with Elon Musk? Okay, let's just do a probe, see if there's anything to worry about, and let's see if the United States needs to take different kinds of actions in terms of the technology that it relies on, so it's not put in the position again of having to rely on a capricious individual for its strategic choices overseas.
No. Elon Musk is a private citizen, and I don't think he should be investigated such unless there's...
Isn't Hunter Biden?
Yes, but I don't want, and I don't care to investigate Hunter Biden's, personal, non-political related conduct. We're interested in investigation of Joe Biden and whether he somehow profited from his relationship with Hunter Biden. Also, the investigation isn't into Elon Musk. It's to SpaceX, a organization, a company that has in the past has military contracts. It wasn't this particular Starlink issue, but has had contracts, defense contracts with the United States. Well, they can look into their contracts with SpaceX. That's fine if we have contracts with them. That's the question of whether or not there should be a probe into the relationship there. Yeah, but that's not what she's mad about. She's mad about that Elon Musk would dare decide not to participate in a Ukrainian military operation, which I think is up to him. Again, I don't share her politics. Elizabeth Warren voted for Donald Trump's enormous military budget increase back in 2017. She's never seen a military budget increase. She's very hawkish. Doesn't like, just like most of the Republican Party and most of the Democratic Party. But that's
The hypocrisy here, it seems to me, is that there seems to be an ample appetite for just doing investigation to see if there's a there on the right with respect to Hunter Biden's alleged pay-for-play scheme, and not any appetite for this. I don't support politics of either side, but I'm struggling to figure out why, if there's no problem here, the same people who have an appetite for just doing an investigation to affirm that reality on one side of the aisle don't seem to have an interest in doing so here. Because
I want the government to look into wrongdoing by other government officials. But again, fine, we can look into the contracts with SpaceX. But specifically to the extent everyone seems very mad at Elon, or to the extent to calling him treasonous because he wasn't going to participate in this Ukrainian military operation. And I don't really think that's fair, because it does seem like avoiding World War III is a noble goal. I think Elon's opinions on what should be going on between Ukraine and Russia are probably closer to the average Americans than our own governments.
Robby, what if the goal weren't noble? What if Bill Gates, another very rich man, decides that he does think that we should be going to war with Russia, that he's concerned that our ally Germany is reluctant to go along with us, and that therefore he wants to use his billions of dollars to help, let's say hypothetically, blow up a pipeline that brings natural gas from Russia to Germany. If in that obviously fake scenario that I've just brought up, just because you disagree with Bill Gates, would you then have concern that there's a billionaire that's doing foreign policy? I mean, can you abstract?
No, that's a much better arrangement. If wealthy people want to spend their money to help the Ukrainian cause rather than taxpayer dollars, that's a win. That's a win-win.
I mean, that would be a crime. It would be illegal what Bill Gates would have done in that scenario. Yeah,
because doesn't belong to.
Right.
Russia.
It was illegal. Right. Whoever blew up the pipeline, it was both illegal and one of the biggest environmental catastrophes of all time. But I'm struggling with this because I don't understand, you seem to have, and this bleeds over into other contexts, we can only organize our society in the ways that are available to us to organize our society. And we have decided, as you've pointed out, that we should have a democratic process when deciding, especially on big things like going to war. It is bad that Congress has jumped over that authority so many times in American history and figured out ways to not technically declare war so they don't have to technically get the public support for what they do overseas. Usually in those conversations, it's about wanting to have more democracy in that process. And I don't understand why there seems to be a laissez-faire attitude about having a patently undemocratic process with respect to rogue billionaires doing foreign policy, even if in this particular instance, we happen to agree with what this billionaire has done.
I mean, it's their money, not mine. My objection is I don't want to fund. I'm unwilling to be forced to fund this effort. But if you want to donate money to the Ukrainians or the Russians or whoever, that's your business. It's not my business.
We're careening into a world where benevolent and malevolent billionaires fight it out for the fate of humanity, and we all just sit back and watch. Bill Gates releases his mosquitoes, and we get mad about it.
Instead of a world where the U.S. government confiscates our wealth and then uses it to launch wars without any oversight or accountability.
Do you think that I'm arguing that I think that the United States should confiscate our wealth?
You're describing some theoretical dystopia when we already live in a dystopia, and it's the one the government foisted on us.
No, we're living in a dystopia where rogue billionaires are deciding foreign policy. That's the subject of this segment.
We're living in a world where rogue governments are doing foreign policy.
Yeah, and I would like to rein that in. And I have a lot of arguments and policy proposals for exactly how to do that, in the same way that I think it's worth discussing how to rein the billionaires in. I don't think just saying, oh, well, that's the way it is, let's just throw Mothra at King Kong is the way to do it, or at Godzilla is the way to do it. I don't know. It seems very nihilistic and very
Ukraine
short-sighted.
Shouldn't beseech Elon Musk for help.
No,
Elon Musk shouldn't get to decide whether he helps them or not.
Elon can do whatever
Ukraine can do whatever they want, and Elon Musk should do whatever he wants.
No, but America has to make a decision about whether or not it wants to be reliant on a unaccountable billionaire's technology to do what it wants to do from a foreign policy perspective. That's a separate issue from. It's not about forcing Elon Musk to do X, Y, and Z. It's about America realizing that its privatized aspects of its defense whether or not you think...
I mean, it's Elon's company. He invented the technology.
Right, so
we're going to conscript him into working for our U.S. military?
Literally no, Robby. Literally, I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
The question is whether or not the United States needs to look at what it's doing and its reliance on people like Elon Musk, so it doesn't have to be in the situation. That's the probe. That's what they should need to look into. Are you arguing that the United States should just continue to be reliant on capricious billionaire technology? What if
capricious billionaire technology? I mean, it's a technology that provides internet and has provided internet to much of Ukraine for free. For like capricious, it's a human good. It's.
Robby, do you really think what I meant by that was that the technology is capricious and not that Elon Musk's choice to extend that technology is capricious?
Well, I mean, he built the company that created it.
All right, you've made your stance clear. We'll have more Rising for you right after this.